This is the last session, or the budget session as it's called, of this Lok Sabha. You are not able to see the parliament right behind me because of the fog, but we are going to give you all those developments right from inside. But what happens today, in a short while from now, roughly around 11 a.m. is going to be the joint session of Parliament where the President is going to be addressing both the houses. But before that, as is mandatory, 10:15 a.m. is when the Prime Minister will be addressing the media, obviously reaching out to the opposition and also make the point that we are ready for a debate and discussion and we all need to work together.
Good morning. We are coming to you live on this foggy, cold morning. Pallavi, Arunima, Payal and Aman to get you all the updates of what's happening in Parliament. Around 10:15, Prime Minister is expected to make a short address to the media and then you will see the President really laying before the people of this country what the government is really planning. But Pallavi, Payal, Aman, let's begin by thinking this is the year that we are looking at elections, Payal. Should we expect a populist budget when that all-important record-setting budget is presented by the Finance Minister?
It will be very much difficult for us to predict anything right now and predict anything that Narendra Modi or his government is going to do. But basically, you can expect a lot of focus, a lot of thrust on the youth, a lot of thrust on the women. And the women empowerment has been one of the strong points of the government, and that's something we can really expect to really do. Can there be major announcements? From what I've been able to speak briefly to the government, they basically say that there could be no major announcement because this is just an interim budget. So this gives the government the power to in fact spend money from the consolidated funds of India till the actual government comes into power again, until of course we have the next budget being presented. But yes, all eyes on what Nirmala Sitharaman will be doing, and of course special focus on what she'll be wearing tomorrow. What is her Bahi Khata that she'll be wearing?
She will be carrying the Bahi Khata.
Yes.
She's the one, yeah.
And it's a huge moment for India, isn't it? She's India's first finance minister, who's a woman. She's going to be presenting a record 6th budget and her first interim budget. So all eyes on Nirmala Sitharaman tomorrow, but all eyes on another woman, the first citizen of India, Droupadi Murmu, coming to the Parliament for the first of the new Parliament, which was inaugurated mid last year. She's going to be delivering the address. So in a way, a lot of opposition parties say that she's going to deliver the manifesto of the government.
But usually the presidential speech is often about the fact, laying down the guidelines and outline of the government. She may come in a buggy. There's a very interesting story, if I can talk about it very quickly. So when India got independence, there was this huge fight between India and Pakistan about who's going to get the buggy. And there was a toss and India won. So that's seen as a huge kind of a legacy of it. But Aman, we were having a look at the economic preview. And the economic preview talked about India's spurt in the economic story. Obviously politics cannot be left far behind, right? As far as the parliament session is concerned, the last one. Ram Mandir, accusations by the opposition that misuse of ED, CBI and India's growth story. You think that's going to be the pitch which the BJP is also going to go and face election?
Well, I think, Pallavi, the government will surely put up a case that, the country's economy is booming. There's already a projection of 7% growth as per the document which came out today before. We don't have an economic survey, but that is the direction that the government is saying it will take, 7% growth. So, government is saying, in a way, I think the president's address the theme could be that you see the economy is on an upsurge. It was not so when we started off in 2014. It could be a report card in a way of the 9 years of government, 9.5 years of government, and what lies ahead. What I'm learning from my sources that a couple of things could be addressed. One is this new pension scheme. The finance ministry has been working hard on it. There have been discussions on how to make the new pension scheme more attractive. Maybe an amalgamation of the old pension scheme and the new pension scheme. Will something come on that? We'll have to wait. Something on jobs maybe, because jobs has been something which, the Congress has been targeting the BJP government on. So maybe on jobs we may see something coming from the government, some announcement coming ahead. Everybody is expecting for tax breaks, which the middle class, is eagerly looking forward to. Every year we don't get much. This year, if we'll get it as a parting gift from the Modi government, let's see what happens on that. But I think the Congress in this session will strongly put forward the point, as you were saying, the use of the investigation agencies. As we speak today, Hemant Soren is about to be questioned in Ranchi at 1 o'clock today. So are the investigating agencies, exceeding their brief, acting on the part of the government, as the Congress has been alleging? Also the issue of inflation, jobs, all this, Manipur. I think the Congress will not leave the Manipur issue also.
I'm sorry to interrupt you here, but this is what I also want to know. This is also going to be one session where the opposition has lost one ally, which is Nitish Kumar. And there's a mandatory all-party meeting which takes place. Nitish Kumar would be missing. There's a miffed TMC over there. So the India front opposition unity which we saw over Mahua Moitre the last time round I think that's something which may not be happening, and you can't go for elections with this kind of picture.
Well, definitely the opposition seems on a back foot this time. Last time, it's correctly said, Mahua Moitra, you saw the entire opposition coming together, all these MPs suspended, you saw this huge protest by everybody. But this time, definitely it's dented also because, much of Congress is doing also, Pallavi, in a way. The point of Nitish Kumar walking away or the point of TMC, behaving the way it is with the Congress, because everybody thinks that the seat sharing talks are inordinately delayed. We have Samajwadi Party now declaring 16 seats because they say in a big state like UP, how long can you wait? So it's already the end of January. I saw Abhishek Banerjee say 2 days back that the deadline was December 31st. Now we're at the end of January and still no seat sharing talks have been finalized. So opposition definitely has to get its act together.
I also wanted to point out, we can't see the Parliament building, but that building itself, the first joint address happening, no central hall, that will be a new experience for the parliamentarians as well, some of the old school ones.
Yes, absolutely. And well, a new Parliament building also, Arunima, has been mired in a lot of controversy. We saw last time round how Mahua Moitra came down, and the presidential address, the fact that women empowerment, which Aman and Payal were all talking about, that became the hallmark. And there are lots of things which the new Parliament building also tries to send out, lots of messaging, that it's inclusive, no, the joint session, the kind of central hall we talked about, and the media arrangement which was there much earlier.
And Pallavi, this is also the first session which is happening after the security breach that happened.
So I was just coming to that. I can see the yellow color on your finger. That's exactly what happened the last time round. So that report is also to be expected. I
think that what the Prime Minister and the Home Minister said is that 15 days after the incident, the report was expected. There's a lot of secrecy about that report. The CRPF DG was heading it. So one guesses that report has already been finalized and handed over to the Lok Sabha Speaker. But they're taking their time to make it public. That's the sense that I get, that they're taking time to make it public. In the interim, a lot of new steps have been taken. For example, now when you go inside the Parliament, you'll see the CISF personnel manning the gate. And Payal Mehta, in fact, is the one who has that pass. Aman also will go to the Rajya Sabha. But when you enter this time, you will see a different security apparatus, isn't it? CISF will be in control.
CISF has in fact been manning the gates, but today they will be more aggressive because there's a lot of VIV movements. President of India is going to be there, Prime Minister is going to be there. You can see already the security personnel heading to that location. But yes, there's a lot at stake as far as this is concerned, given the fact that there were a lot of voices that were raised by the opposition parties, essentially questioning the government, saying that why is the Home Minister speaking outside, why is the Prime Minister speaking outside, what about that report. It will be important to see the Speaker comes out and says anything about the report, because remember we formed a committee, a report was supposed to be formed. There is no joint security director so far ever since the last one has gone. So all of these questions are going to be there for everybody to see. But I want to ask you one question, Arunima, when are the CA rules being notified?
Yeah, the big question again. We've been told, one of the union minister has actually come out and said it will happen in 7 days, which effectively means that this week we should be hearing about the CAA rules. So, Aman, but Home Minister is likely to tell the Parliament about it, is what we hear.
So Aman, is that going to be one of the pitches of the BJP for the Lok Sabha elections, that we in one nation? In fact, 2 questions for you really. On the CAA one and one nation, one poll, because that's also gathering steam. You think these are those 2 pitches which can come up in this session? I think
CAA is the only unfinished agenda so far. I think after 370 is done, Ayodhya, Ram Mandir has happened, Pran Pratishtha has happened. CAA remains the unfinished agenda, and something which was in a way put on the back burner after the Shaheen Bagh protest. The government took a bit. There are only 2 steps which in this government, Modi government has taken a back step on. One on the farm laws, another on the CAA rules. So CAA rules is the thing that, and we have learned from the Home Ministry that, it's going to happen. It's a matter of time, this week, next week. Already, as Arunima was saying, the minister has gone public saying it will happen. CAA is something which, government also wants to prove a point that, this is nothing to do with, excluding anybody. This is basically to give citizenship to those who are persecuted abroad. And we could see a lot of applications are, I think, pending. So, a lot of people could get the benefits immediately once the CAA rules come. About your second question, what was that, Pallavi?
One nation, one poll.
One nation, one poll. So, one nation, one poll, I think is more of a thing in the making. I think Ramnath Kovind committee is still meeting. This is something which is a futuristic idea. The government in this, maybe in the president's address, it may find a mention. This is something we want to do.
And it's very interesting that Nitish Kumar, even if he was not in the NDA at that point in time, has supported one country election.
Maybe that was one hint which the opposition party should have got. But we talk about CAA, we talk about one nation, one poll, we talk about Ram Mandir. But every time the Prime Minister has travelled, even if he visits the temples, there have been development projects which have been announced by him, because that's the message which the Prime Minister wanted to send out is, Astha, yes, but development equally important. And when we look at those figures which you are seeing up on our screens of the India's economic preview, and that has been released by the government, it talks about India's 7th largest economy. The fact is that we no longer can be called underdeveloped or developing economy when it comes to a world stage, especially in the post-COVID times, when many of the so-called developed countries have been facing that kind of a setback. India has surged ahead. That is going to be the largest message.
Yes, and I just weigh in on that. You know, every time there's an election round the corner, the government of the day feels, forced in a way. Their hands are tied to come up with some populist measure. But because of the timing of the Ram Mandir, Pran Pratishtha, because of the overall economic outlook, this government, you would say, is in a more cushioned position as far as populist economic measures are concerned?
Well, the government is completely in a cushioned position, but they won't take anything lightly. They probably have already started preparing for the 2029 elections. That's the way the BJP really works as well. But the government has been saying that Astha and Vikas have all gone together as well. So, even as Aman and me travelled extensively in Ayodhya, and we spoke about the fact that yes, there was the Ram Mandir which was in place, but look at the boom in the economy over there. There are going to be jobs over there, there are going to be development projects over there. In fact, just the beginning of, in the next couple of days, the Prime Minister is also slated to travel to Assam to inaugurate the Kamakhya corridor. So that's the kind of work that they've been doing, and they basically feel that people need to be assured of the fact that Modi ki guarantee is something which they speak about, that there is going to be Vikas, there is going to be Vishwas. We're not here to hamper anybody's, religious beliefs, etc. But at the same time, we'll work for the development of everybody as well. So, whether it's any community, whether it's any religion, that's the kind of messaging that the Modi government has been trying to give. And of course, people have rewarded them with the mandate. Now, look at the ratings as far as Prime Minister Narendra Modi is concerned. He's somebody who can communicate with a 10-year-old to a 100-year-old as well. So, all these things are there for people to see. But the biggest pitch this time around, Arunima, the party is going to focus on the youth, the first-time voters. The Prime Minister addressed the first-time voters a few days ago. And of course the women, and tell them that what work has been done for them as well. But for the first-time voters, they want to tell them that you don't need to go out of the country. Here is a country which is progressing every day. You can see Make in India progressing every time as well, and it's on the path to become the world's 3rd largest economy. So that's going to be one election pitch that the BJP and the government certainly will put forward.
When the response comes to the presidential speech, because that's a discussion which is going to take next week, I think the Prime Minister, of course, responds to it. But this is going to be the last session before the Lok Sabha elections are called.
And when you respond to it, Aman also mentioned Rajya Sabha numbers. Because of the turnaround that we have seen, there are seats, people who are retiring in Rajya Sabha also. So the new face is expected. Will that change the number dynamics in the upper house in any way?
And to that, I also want to ask you this: then will the Prime Minister, in his response to a presidential speech, will in effect make a kind of a campaign pitch for his government, his
party?
Guys,
you have to stop asking us what Prime Minister Narendra Modi is going to do. And we will tell you.
The rider is always there. We don't know what he's going to say. But there's no harm in speculating. That's another compulsion of political reportage.
Yes, so let's start with Rajya Sabha numbers and then what the Prime Minister could say.
Numbers obviously will see a change. When Nitish now coming to their side, and many top faces as Payal Road are retiring. So will they get another chance? And obviously, I think some of them will be repeated. But at the same time, the government also wants to contest them in Lok Sabha. So many of the big faces of BJP may be contesting Lok Sabha. That's another big surprise which is coming. So you would see the big ministers, who have been so far in the Rajya Sabha, could be contesting Lok Sabha, and Rajya Sabha could see maybe some new faces. So we'll leave that to speculation. Is all around that. What the Prime Minister may say, Pallavi, I think this speech of the Prime Minister while ending the President's address will be, more of a pitch to the voter that, look, I have been there 9.5 years. I have run a government which doesn't have even one allegation of corruption against it. This is a strong, stable government, and this is a strong, stable government. That is why we have been able to do things which were thought of, not thought possible earlier. Be it abrogation of Article 370, be it the Ayodhya Ram Temple Pran Pratishthan. This time, when I feel the government is, Mr. Modi is going to polls, he is going to polls with 2 big promises being fulfilled. Many say in 2019, it was only Balakot. That carried the government through the election. No, this time 2 big promises, 370 and Ram Temple, have been fulfilled. So I think Prime Minister Modi has a lot to say to the voters. Plus, along with that, the development story of India, the G20 presidency, Chandrayaan, sporting successes. It's a feel-good story. It's that India is growing, India is getting recognition abroad, our economy is booming while the whole world is still struggling in the post-COVID era. India is the bright shining star. That is what I think Mr. Modi is going to project. And if you see the PM's the BJP's campaign song, it's on the same themes. That Modi hi ek choice hai logon ke paas. That is a choice that people have. people will vote in the name of Modi. And I think in the Lok Sabha election, the BJP's pitch is also that, okay, there will be a candidate in the Lok Sabha, you will have an MP, but look at Modi and vote. You know, if this is the man you should be voting for, he is the man keeping the country safe, stable and forward looking and growing.
And the moment talking about MPs and who to be voting for, how can we not talk about the Congress and Rahul Gandhi?
Yes, I was
He's
about to ask
certainly
about that.
He's not going to be there today. A bunch of Congress leaders are actually not going to be there, and they are fighting a larger battle. And that battle is, many cynics say, I don't know where the battle is leading to, where the yatra is going. The absence of Rahul Gandhi, the preoccupation of Rahul Gandhi with the Bharat Jodo Nyaya Yatra, amidst allies leaving or seat sharing talks failing, whether it's Samajwadi Party to a certain extent, the Trinamool Congress, and of course in Bihar, and of course the raids which are taking place. You think the Prime Minister, again, I'm sorry, Payal, we're hazarding a guess, but do you think somewhere that caustic comment will come that here you have an opposition which is crumbling, they don't know what they have to offer, and they are deeply divided, and they are confused?
I think Himanta Biswa Sarma has already set the tone when he has said that he is our best campaigner.
He
Wherever he
gave
goes,
more footage than anybody else did.
Yes.
But you know, having said that, yes, the Prime Minister has to be somebody who knew the future very, very well. About 3 to 4 months ago, he had already predicted that this is the Ghamandiya Gadbandhan. It will not go anywhere. It's a Gadbandhan of the corrupt. It's a Gadbandhan of the dynast. And these are just going to be virtual alliances. So the Prime Minister already saw the writing on the wall, and he's addressed this, I think, in the monsoon session of Parliament when he was addressing all the NDA MPs in multiple meetings. He said all of this as well. But yes, of course, the way in which it's really going, I'm sure the Prime Minister will definitely take a dig at him. Given the fact that this is an election year, you have the election really going to happen, which is going to happen in the next couple of months. This is possibly his last opportunity to speak in Parliament and tell the country what this party really has been doing. What are the wrongs that the Congress party has been doing over the years? Why did they not think about anybody else? And he made a very interesting point. He said, you know, गरीबी ऐसे नहीं हटती है, गरीबी किसी के कहने से नहीं हटती है. Every individual has to be empowered to say that I want to get rid of this poverty as well. Several crores of people being removed from the clutches of poverty. All of these issues are going to be raised as well, because remember that famous dialogue by Rajiv Gandhi saying, you know, he said something.
एक रुपया भेजता हूँ, एक पैसा पहुँचता है. But you know, Aman, the last Parliament session, we were all talking about the caste census, how the OBC politics is going to shape up in the run-up to the 2024 elections. With the JDU, you know, switching over, the entire credit for caste census, as per some political analysts, will now be with the NDA. Would you say the steam has been really taken out of India alliances, this particular pitch?
Caste census, I think, as an issue has lost much of relevance while we are arriving at this Parliament session. You are correct that last Parliament session, it was the big thing. But, you know, subsequent to that, what we have seen is, you know, in the last Parliament session, the 3 state losses, you know, Madhya Pradesh, Chhattisgarh, Rajasthan, where OBC politics is very important. There also the Congress was not able to convince the electorate that, you know, caste census is going to be a big thing. And of course, the architect of the caste census in Nitish Kumar, you know, who pushed for it, who got a caste survey done in Bihar, has now walked out. So in a way, the steam has gone from that issue. I'm sure the opposition will still pitch for it because they see a potent issue in that, you know, in a way to pitch against the, what you say, the communalism pitch of the BJP, what the opposition calls it.
The Karpuri Thakur factor would also be a...
Karpuri Thakur, yes, exactly. Giving the Bharat Ratna to Karpuri Thakur also, the BJP will say, look, we don't believe in, you know, differentiating between castes. We have given to a person who's deserving. Why did the Congress not give a Bharat Ratna to Karpuri Thakur for all these years? You know, Nitish Kumar has been pitching out for it since, what, 2007, I think. So I think caste census issue a bit has lost its relevance.
When we talk about, I'm sorry to interrupt, but when we talk about, this is also going to be the first session after the Ram Mandir's Pran Pratishtha, a kind of a standing ovation for the Prime Minister. Is that also what we can expect? Payal, do we expect that inside the Parliament, a kind of standing ovation, the BJP would certainly, for want of any other word to use, milk the opportunity?
Well, every time the Prime Minister walks into Parliament or walks into a particular house, there are always slogans of Jai Shri Ram slogans that really happen. So much so that sometimes people do get, you know, of the opposition side get mocked as well. But this is a very, very important occasion. This is the fact that everybody had to wait for 500 years to see this moment really come through. And the Prime Minister was able to do that, and the Prime Minister's government was able to do that. That is something, of course, the BJP will definitely not let go of. And I won't be really surprised if this is also mentioned by anybody when they reply, you know, to the motion of thanks or anything. That's definitely going to find a mention, because this is one of the biggest demands from people across the country. You see the kind of people who are turning up, you know, to Ayodhya every day, every single day. In fact, Prime Minister Narendra Modi having to tell his cabinet that do not go to Ayodhya right now, do not create, hassle for people. So they're going to go in March. But this is definitely going to find a mention, and you know the BJP has been wearing this on their sleeve. They have not made it a hidden agenda. This was part of the manifesto as well, whether it's abrogation of Article 370, Ram Mandir, or multiple other issues as well. So that's something which they definitely are going to highlight.
Okay, let's also spend a moment discussing what is left of the opposition's agenda now. Everything that they had pitched so far seems to have gone out in the wind. So in this, you know, and you can also come in, Payal. At the all party also, it looked that the India alliance was a little subdued. They really didn't know which issue to cling
I
on
also
to.
think it's kind of an election mode, so everyone knows that these kind of meetings really don't mean much. But see,
The big agenda for them.
So see, the TMC's very acrimonious relationship with the Congress party, and today, for example, there is a confrontation which is going to take place between the TMC and the Congress party, because both of them are going to be in Malda.
Yes.
And Malda has been the bastion of the Congress party, if it has any bastion left in Bengal, Malda and Murshidabad. Now, all of this does get reflected inside Parliament. Last time round, we saw a Mrs. Sonia Gandhi standing behind Mahua Maitro. She seldom does that. They were very powerful optics, very powerful pictures. But Aman, the crumbling of the opposition, or a crumbling of the opposition unity inside the last Parliament session of Parliament, because these are the pictures which the voters may, keep on seeing. You think that is going to be a disadvantage for India front?
See, India front is plagued by, I think, see, all these problems, Pallavi, with the alliances breaking, all this is happening because the seat sharing arrangement is not being finalized. On one hand, you have the BJP, which is declaring its campaign song, asking people for manifesto. We might see the first seats being declared by BJP, next month, early next week maybe. On the other hand, you have the India alliance where even the basic seat sharing arrangement, who will fight from where? Parties have to prepare. They have to prepare a candidate who will fight. They don't need to know which seat they are fighting. In not even one state it has been decided. That is what Abhishek Banerjee was saying in that statement 2 days back. That we need to prepare कि कौन कहाँ से लड़ेगा. हमें पता ही नहीं है कौन कहाँ से लड़ेगा.
Actually has an impact. Remember what happened in Madhya Pradesh and Chhattisgarh, the BJP declaring its seats in advance, and you see the results from there, because they wanted to give the candidates
for
enough
any
time.
MP.
Exactly.
And I can tell you this much: within the Congress party, there is a sense of grudge amongst many that ideally we should be knowing where we are contesting from, but here we are on the yatra and we are preoccupied with it.
We are doing. India is doing another meeting to decide. We'll do another meeting, but the result is not showing. That is the whole problem.
As they say.
One place, Aman, where they came together was Punjab. Mayoral elections, even coming together didn't help them.
Didn't help. There's a controversy there कि क्या हुआ है वहाँ पे. Any still couldn't win. पंजाब में तो वैसे ही alliance नहीं हो रहा है. Bhagwant Maan from is saying that 5 times that मुझे कांग्रेस के साथ alliance करना. Even Haryana is not possible. Delhi doesn't look like it.
That there was a funny exchange between Arvind Kejriwal and Rahul Gandhi in that meeting of the seat sharing, essentially, where we are given to understand. I read a newspaper report which said that Arvind Kejriwal was told by Rahul Gandhi कि आप जल्दी seat declare कर दो. मैं तो जा रहा हूँ भारत जोड़ो यात्रा, and we don't know what's going to happen to you.
Okay, all right. Thank you, Payal. Thank you very much, Aman. Arunima and I will keep on getting you all the details from inside, maybe not from inside the Parliament, from outside the Parliament. Aman and Payal will getting us all those details from inside the Parliament. That's the top story. At around 11 a.m., presidential speech, joint session of Parliament, and tomorrow the vote on account.